Elections will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Present.
Vice Chair Gonzalez. Beckley. Here. Busey. Clardy. Fierro. Jatan. Here. Schofield. Swanson.
Here.
A quorum is present pursuant to Rule 4, Section 16A, for the sole purpose of taking testimony. The chair lays out House Bill 3200 and lays out the committee substitute offered by Representative Jatan. Recognizes Representative Jatan to explain the bill.
Thank you, Chairman, and no members. I am here to lay out House Bill 3200, which allows voters who vote by mail a recourse in the unfortunate event that a ballot is rejected due to a technicality. Currently, once a mail-in ballot is received, it is casted and not curable. There also comes inconsistencies regarding when a ballot is considered casted and when it can be cured, and when the notice requirement in those cases, what are the notice requirements are in those cases. We seek to provide some clarity to this process. A rejected ballot means your vote does not get counted, and currently you do not get to vote again. We seek to fix that. For mail-in ballots that are rejected due to signature issues, witness information issues, or statements of residence issues, HB 3200 would require the election judges or clerk to inform the voter within 24 hours by using the voter's preferred contact method indicated on the jacket of the mail-in ballot. The election judge or early voting clerk can then send a new mail ballot to the voter, or the voter may show up at the polls and vote with a provisional ballot. HB 3200 adds an affidavit of a rejected ballot to approved uses of provisional ballots, so we're not slowing down the process of voting. At this time, I'm able to answer any questions. Otherwise, I reserve the right to close.
Members, are there any questions for the author? All right, we'll bring you up to close after recognized witnesses. Please let the record reflect Representative Clardy is now present. Registration order. Chair calls Chris Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, Chris Davis on behalf of the Texas Association of Election Administrators, testifying on House Bill 3200. We've traditionally understood with Secretary of State's office that voters only get one bite at that apple. And as we understand the bill, they may get another bite. And if we understand it correctly, there's not a curing process going on. It's kind of a second opportunity to potentially vote by provisional ballot process, we believe. It's a promising bill. We may have some issues with perhaps the unequal application of it. That's natural, I think, as we get closer to deadlines. But we appreciate the committee substitute. That's all I have.
Members, any questions for this witness? You're none? Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Chair calls Alan Vera.
Not here.
Chair calls Dion Starnes. Thank you, ma'am. Chair calls Glenn Maxey.
Glenn Maxey, Texas Democratic Party, in opposition to this bill. We're very much for a cure bill. We just prefer that the bill that's come through, Senate Bill 1018, with the committee substitute with the deadlines in it, as the more robust way to answer this. So while we salute you going this direction, we just like the other bill much better because it has the ability to do some in-person cure also. Thank you.
Members, any questions for the witness? Okay, thank you, Mr. Maxey. Chair now calls James Slattery. Or Slattery, I'll get you as wait for you. Get you as James Slattery, Senior Staff Attorney for the Texas Civil Rights Project, and shows you neutral on this bill. Is that
That's right.
Please proceed.
Although HB 3200 would be an improvement compared with the status quo, the lack of a process for curing wrongly rejected mail ballots means that many thousands of Texas voters will continue to be disenfranchised each year, and therefore we cannot at this time register support for the bill. During every major election, Texas counties reject thousands of mail-in ballots solely because of mismatched signatures. No one tells these voters before their vote is rejected, and that rejected is final with no opportunity thereafter for the voter to fix the issue, request a new vote by mail ballot, or vote in person. On the plus side, Section 4 of HB 3200 would require rapid notice to a voter following rejection of their vote by mail ballot. Further, it appears to recognize the right of a voter to vote in person if their ballot has been rejected. However, the options the bill gives to voters for what to do after a rejection aren't sufficient to protect voters. Following rejection, voters would be limited to requesting a new mail ballot or voting in person. But if a voter's mail ballot is rejected after Election Day, there is no way for them to request a new mail ballot or vote in person. Further, if a voter's mail ballot is rejected after the deadline to request a vote by mail ballot is passed, then they would be limited to voting in person, which isn't an option for the people who are voting by mail because they're outside their home county. As a result, this would still leave a large number of Texas voters helpless following a wrongful rejection of their mail ballot, and we therefore urge the committee to amend the bill to adopt a meaningful cure process for those voters.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Members, any questions? None? All right, thank you, Mr. Slatter. Chair now calls Ed Johnson. Good evening. Judge, Ed Johnson here on behalf of yourself, and you are here in support of this bill. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Please proceed.
This is a great bill. It fixes a big problem we have in elections, and the fact that your mail ballot could be rejected. You, as the mail voter, don't know that it has been rejected, and then you don't get an opportunity to try to vote in person. Or even worse than that, someone else votes for you, falsifies a mail ballot, you show up at a polling location, and you're told that you've already voted by mail, and you're not allowed to vote. Well, someone stole your mail ballot, and then you're there in person, and they don't let you vote either. So this gives that an opportunity for the signature verification to work through these problems. Let's say it's a rejected ballot because the signatures didn't match because someone stole your ballot. Then it gives that voter that had their ballot stolen an opportunity on Election Day to go vote. This could be automated real simply, make a little modifications to the provisional ballot form, an extra checkbox for, a rejected mail ballot. The voter roll, since they're all becoming electronic, could actually display all this in real time when a voter comes in. That way a judge wouldn't have to spend extra time researching anything. So it's a very easy solution to implement, I believe, here.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Chair, I call is Mackenzie Chapa. Mackenzie Chapa. Members, we have a resource witness. Would you like to hear from Secretary of State's office? Oh,
real quick.
Chair calls Keith Ingram.
One question. Thank you.
Please let the record reflect Representative Busey now present. And good, Mr. Ingram.
Keith Ingram here, the Director of the Elections Division for the Texas Secretary of State here on House Bill 3200.
The chair recognizes Representative Busey.
I just wanted to jump into the affidavit part where you can change the provisional ballot with an affidavit. Mm-hmm. Where can they do that? Will that happen during early voting on Election Day at any polling site?
That's right. Yeah, we'll change the provisional ballot envelope to reflect this as one of the reasons in the affidavit.
Okay, so they can show up any time during the voting process at any location, and they're able to do that and then vote.
That's right.
Provisional. Awesome. That's all I have, man.
Thank you. Let the record reflect Representative Figueroa now.
Thank you, Chairman.
Members, any other questions for the Keith Ingram? Thank you, sir. Is there a... Again, the mic was off. Please let the record reflect Representative Figueroa now present. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3200? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Jeton to close on the bill. But just before you do, please let the record reflect that Representative Beckley is not present.
I was here before.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Yes.
All right, if there's no further questions, I'll close.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the author? Thank you, Representative Jeton. If there's no objection, the bill would be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The bill is left pending. And the committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? Hearing none. It's withdrawn. Representative Swanson, we're going to bring up Senate Bill 1112.
Give me just 1 second. Is this it? This is it. Hang on.
All right, the chair lays out Senate Bill 1112 and recognizes Representative Swanson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, committee members. Last election, we saw states and local governments all over this country, including in Texas, breaking their own election laws. We have received troubling reports of early voting ballot boards accepting mail ballots that may not comply with requirements in law. This bill explicitly prohibits local election officials from suspending any of the existing election integrity requirements for mail ballot acceptance. Under the bill, an election official who suspends the signature verification requirements would be committing a Class A misdemeanor. This is about enforcing the laws on the books and building confidence in the integrity of our elections. Thank you, Chairman Kane and members. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and I respectfully reserve my right to close.
Thank you, Representative Swanson. Members, any questions for the author? We'll bring you back up after our witnesses. The chair calls Alan Vera, I believe is left. Chair calls Robert Green. Good evening. I've got you as Robert L. Green here on behalf of the Travis County Republican Party Election Integrity Committee and yourself, and you're for this bill. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Please proceed.
Very simple. Another situation where without any form of enforcement, what good is any law that we pass out here? This at least establishes that we don't change the rules in the middle of the game. We cannot establish clear, transparent, and accurate inspections if we can't verify that the individual who is casting the vote is the person who entered the application. So I think it's a good bill. I'd like to see it passed out of this committee and be favorably considered by the full House. Any questions?
Great. Thanks, sir. Members, any questions? Hearing none. Thank you. Chair, I'll call Susana Carranza. Chair calls Ed Johnson. If you, sir, got you here as Ed Johnson, here on behalf of yourself, and you're for this bill. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Please proceed.
Okay. This is something that we need here in Texas. We saw this all over the nation in this last presidential election where states were going around their own state election code and, counting mail ballots and not doing signature verification processes. Well, that actual thing happened here in Texas, too. During this last 2020 election. In Harris County, the governor extended, statewide, the governor extended the ability to drop off mail ballots where a voter could physically come in and drop them off at a location in the county. In Harris County, the county clerk determined since the voter physically brought the ballot in and dropped it off, that it did not need to go through the signature verification or the ballot board process, and was withholding all those ballots from that ballot board, which is a clear violation of the Texas election code. The election code states that the ballot board, that the clerk just gathers the vote by mail ballots and the applications, and then they present it to the ballot board for them to verify whether or not they're counted or not. And this county clerk determined that they had the authority to circumvent all this. This puts it in very clear statute in the code that they do not have that authority to circumvent it. It actually almost had to go to a court case to get this overturned in Harris County. So I think it'd be good clarification that who the ballot board is the one in charge of vote by mail ballots.
Interesting points. Mr. Johnson, members, any questions for this witness? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chair now passes, going to take a moment. I'm going to pass the gavel to Representative Busey.
The chair now calls up Glenn Maxey.
I like your cup.
Michelle's.
Pat.
Oh,
All right. The chair now calls up Renee Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Please tell us your name, who you're representing, and your position on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Renee Perez, and I'm representing the Libertarian Party of Texas and myself in regards to this Senate Bill 1112. I got in touch with our elections administrator of Tarrant County, who I had the privilege of working with the past three elections, and I asked him his opinion on this bill. His response was, I have not seen an elections official suspend requirements in Texas. I do not see this bill having any impact on our processes or taking away any authority we have. In my time working on the ballot board and with the election judge and with Hyder, we've always worked hard to make sure all votes counted that were within the legal requirements as set forth by the Secretary of State. And I hope that the members take my personal testimony and Hyder's response into account when you make a decision on this bill.
All right. So, Mr. Perez, just for the record, you're representing the Libertarian Party of Texas and yourself, and you are against this bill.
Well, yes, we are against this bill.
All right. Any questions, members? All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, the chair calls Jason Tapper. Going once. All right. Jason Tapper is not here. We will show him not testifying against the bill. We have a resource witness. I would like to call up Christina Atkins. Take Secretary of State. I have a question.
Oh.
What else?
Yeah, 1112, 1112. Did he say it wrong?
I didn't say it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right.
That's what Ron.
Can you?
I'm sorry.
Christina Atkins with the Secretary of State's office on SB 1112.
All right, members, any questions? All right, I do. Just want to talk a little bit about this bill and what we're trying to solve here. We've heard the Secretary of State's testimony that the elections, for the most part, went pretty smooth. Was there a lot of counties just willfully flouting election law with respect to signature verification and not following the rules that we're trying to solve some problem that exists in Texas?
We heard allegations of it, but we were never able to confirm that was happening in any particular county.
So there's never been it followed through to a case and.
No, to my knowledge, no. And if the Attorney General's office or any other, local county or district attorneys were investigating that, then that's not something that we're aware of.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. It just seems like we're fixing a problem that doesn't exist in the state. Any members, any other questions? Yeah, Representative Clardy.
I wasn't going to have to do this. Thank you, Ms. Atkins, for being here. I think I caught most of Mr. Busey's questions, but you've sat through a number of these hearings this session, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you have been made aware of a lot of anecdotal testimony from a number of witnesses from across the state where there are serious allegations and concerns about potential acts of voter fraud, correct?
Correct.
But your job as Secretary of State is not to investigate nor to prosecute those, isn't that right?
That's correct.
That's a job that you defer to the Attorney General's office, particularly the Office of Voter Integrity.
Yes, sir.
And so you're not in a position to take a position or state that there is or is not voter fraud. That's just really not your job, right?
I mean, that's correct. We anecdotally hear things, but we are not an investigative agency.
Okay. I mean, I can relate to you a story that I know factually occurring in a county north of my district where in the Democratic primary with a particular commissioner's race with the party which I do not belong to, that there was a voter harvesting scheme which did lead to an illegally obtained victory in an election. And I think you're aware of that circumstance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you know, the notion that this is a problem or a solution that's in search of a problem, that might be just a tad bit of an overstatement, I might suggest to my learned colleague and Mr. Chairman Busey. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. And I think you heard Mr. Ed Johnson's testimony, and I would assume you would agree that if the Harris County clerk was refusing to turn ballots over that were turned in, these mail ballots, and refusing to give them to the ballot board for signature verification, that would be illegal, and we would need to stop that. So
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I think we agree that things that were illegal were attempted, but lawsuits or you guys saying, hey, you can't do that, stop things. So in some of those cases, we need to put it into law. We need to have some sort of punishment so that people can't go, well, there's no punishment. We don't care what the law says. And so I just wanted to make sure that you did agree that doing that would have been illegal, and it's fortunate we got it stopped in Harris County. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, you have to do signature verification. I think what this bill does is it adds a criminal penalty if you.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
But to your knowledge, we're doing signature verification at the county level.
It's a requirement under the law that occur, and nobody should be suspending it. There's just no ability to do that. It's a requirement.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Atkins. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 1112? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Swanson to close on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman, members. I think that in her testimony, we realize that it is extremely. Hang on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. We've heard testimony. Many of us heard a lot of testimony over the years that many attempts were made to stop giving the ballots to the ballot board, and that would stop signature verification. It's very important that we have some penalty to stop people who are not abiding by the law. And with that, I close.
Members, any questions? All right. Thank you, Representative Swanson. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the bill is left pending. The chair lays out Senate Bill 1114 and recognizes Representative Swanson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Senate Bill 1114 deals with the cross-check process the Secretary of State undertakes related to voter rolls. Current statutes require the Secretary of State to cross-check voter registrations to confirm a voter's citizenship and whether that voter is deceased or deliver notice to registrars. A registrar is required to deliver notice if a registered voter to a registered voter if that voter is subject to removal from the rolls. That person is then required to provide written proof of citizenship within 30 days, or the registrar is required to cancel the registration. In the 2019 Lulac versus Whitley case, the Secretary of State agreed with multiple parties in the settlement to implement changes to their cross-check process, and this bill would essentially codify those current and impending processes. This bill gives the Secretary of State statutory support to compare existing voter registrations with new motor vehicle and DPS records, such as driver license applications, which ask whether a person is a citizen. SOS will run these cross-checks on a monthly basis and report to the legislature at the end of each year to show us how many registrations were affected by this process. Again, this bill is codifying the agreement that the various parties came to in the 2019 Lulac versus Whitley case, and it is codifying what the Secretary of State is doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm happy to answer any questions and reserve my right to close.
Members, are there any questions for Representative Swanson? All right. If there are no further questions, we'll receive your testimony and reserve your right to close. The chair calls Robert Green.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Robert Green. I'm here representing Travis County Elections Integrity Committee, as I am the chair, and myself in favor of this bill. Clean voter rolls are essential to maintaining the integrity of our elections. I like the fact that we have a cooperation in this bill between agencies who would then communicate with one another to help to eliminate people who have moved out of the county, who are not in this country legally, who are deceased, and maybe a felon or what have you, but they should be removed expeditiously from our voter rolls, such that for the confidence of our electorate is important. We've seen it happen too much that people are becoming unsure of whether or not the election was carried out fairly and that the result that came about was the result that should have come out. They just don't understand that. So anything that we can do to assuage the public and help them to feel confident in our elections is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Members, any questions? Real quick,
Yes.
Mr. Green, just want to confirm you're with the Travis County Republican Party Election Integrity Committee and yourself. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm the chair of the committee, so yes, I'm representing them.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Nope. Next up, Fatima Menendez. If you'll tell us your name, who you're representing, and your position on the bill.
Hello, Chairman Busey, members of the committee. My name is Fatima Menendez, and I'm a legislative staff attorney with MALDEF, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. MALDEF opposes Senate Bill 1114. It discriminates against naturalized U.S. citizens, and it targets naturalized U.S. citizens for voter purges. This bill, in fact, does not codify the voter settlement. It would actually violate the voter settlement agreement that was reached in the 2019 voter purge litigation. Without bill language specifying that registrars may only send citizenship challenge letters to registered voters who indicated to DPS that they were not U.S. citizens after the date of voter registration, it codifies the unconstitutional purge of naturalized U.S. citizen voters in Texas in 2019. MALDEF urges the committee to reject this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Menendez. Any questions?
I also have written testimony that expands.
All right. Bring it to Jessica. Ms. Hart. Members, any questions? No. All right. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a question. Okay. Mr. Clardy.
Thank you for your testimony. I wanting to make sure I'm looking at the right provision that if I understood your testimony, that there is it provides for some sort of selective picking of members based upon their ethnicity that would require them or to answer a citizenship question. I'm trying to find where that, I think I understood what you're saying, but I read through the bill quickly. I'm trying to find where it has specific language that would disproportionately affect persons of color or whether ethnicity or country of origin or whatever it may be.
So specifically, the voter purge litigation that was brought in 2019, there was a ground for the litigation based on the 14th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause. The 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prohibits states from treating U.S. citizens differently based on their country of birth. The voter purge targeted naturalized U.S. citizens because it was targeting registered voters who had indicated a lack of non-U.S. citizenship prior to them naturalizing and then registering to vote. So without this bill having language in there that would limit it to voters who indicated non-U.S. citizenship after they registered to vote, it is in violation of the voter purge settlement agreement.
Okay, and I understand you're drawing that from litigation dating back to 2019. I'm just talking specifically about SB 1114 and just the plain language of the statute. I think it's about a 3-page statute, where you think that would be violative of the case law that you're referencing.
Because it just says that it would be compared, it would flag for citizenship challenge letters, anybody who indicated non-U.S. citizenship in a motor vehicle or DPS record. And so you need to have the language in there from the settlement agreement, which says that you can only flag people who indicated that after they registered to vote. And that's what's missing from the bill so that it doesn't violate it.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, the chair calls James Slattery. If you can tell us your name, who you're representing, your position on the bill, please.
James Slattery, representing Texas Civil Rights Project, registering against the bill. SB 1114 attempts to codify a discriminatory process which we know is flawed and which has already been prevented by a federal court. In 2019, after several officials publicly gloated about identifying non-citizens on the rolls using the same data from DPS that is the subject of this bill, it was quickly discovered that a faulty methodology, in fact, meant that they had merely identified naturalized citizens who had registered to vote after naturalization. Ultimately, this led to a public fiasco, including a successful lawsuit against the state, hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, and the failed confirmation of a Secretary of State. And just to note, as the last witness said, this bill would not codify the settlement agreement for the reasons she mentioned. As we now know, individuals only update driver's license citizenship information once every 6 years, but over 50,000 Texans become naturalized each year. The language of this bill does not ensure that it only applies if an individual indicates they are not a citizen after they have registered to vote. At this point, enacting into law a program that has been proven to target naturalized citizens would necessarily imply an intent to discriminate against naturalized citizens. There are also racial implications. According to census data, over 87% of Texas's naturalized citizens are Black or of Latino or Asian origin. Texas has a long, unfortunate history of intentional racial discrimination in the voting rights context, so knowingly adopting a program that has been proven to have an extreme disparate impact on naturalized citizens necessarily will also raise the inference of intentional racial discrimination.
Thank you, Mr. Slattery. Any questions, members? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, the chair calls Valerie DeBille. Valerie DeBille is not present. We will show her not testifying against the bill. Next up, the chair calls Glenn Maxey.
Glenn Maxey, Texas Democratic Party in opposition, and I'll be brief. I agree with the two lawyers that came before me. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to rest on their laurels.
Members, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Maxey. The Honorable Mr. Maxey. Next up, the chair calls Ed Johnson.
Ed Johnson. I'm here representing myself, and I am for the bill. This is just basically codifying what is currently being done now according to the settlement agreement, putting it into our state code. I think it's a very good thing that you're doing here. It has a line list of how you're comparing the two databases, the driver's license database and the voter registration database, to make sure you're not mismatching names or getting the wrong person, possibly. I think it does that. I believe, I'm not a lawyer on how you read all this, but I believe it's actually just using the current list, so you wouldn't go back in time on the driver's license roll. So it's just going to be the current notifications coming from DPS, which would mean that if you're naturalized, if you got your driver's license a couple of years ago and now you're naturalized, that record's not going to do it until you update your driver's license again, would your name be checked. So I think they're only using current records on here. I think this bill is being very generous. The driver's license now under Real ID is a federal document, and the voter registration card under Help America Vote is a federal document. And if you're saying on one federal document that I am a citizen and on the other federal document that I'm not, I believe they call that perjury and is a criminal offense. We're not trying to put them in jail. We're just mailing them a letter saying, hey, could you verify this for us and see if they made a mistake or something? So very generous bill. It's not throwing the book at them and putting them in jail. It's sending them a letter saying, please check this.
Members, any questions? Yep. Ms. Swanson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for clarifying this. I think you have the correct interpretation of the bill, and if others think it needs some kind of tweak to make it more clear, this bill is written to do exactly what the court order said and exactly what you said, and it does not allow SOS to check existing driver's licenses against new registrations. Only the reverse is allowed. This is because many people who had checked the non-citizen box on a driver's license application and never updated after becoming citizens were getting caught in that situation that we had some years back. So it's very clear on here that they can only do it after that the people have declared it. It only goes one direction, not the one that caused the problem. Mm-hmm. Would you like to comment more on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, so yes, it's a one-way check, and you're actually outlining what the match criteria is. So it's not arbitrary to the Secretary of State, and it's very, very detailed. So I think this is a very good process that you're going through on actually matching it. So you have a hard match with the voter and a hard match with the driver's license list. And then you're being very lenient. You're actually trying to help the voter if they didn't fill out a form correctly or made a mistake. You're helping them get it corrected. Like I said, not throwing the book at them and putting them in jail. You're helping them correct the problem.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for reading the bill carefully and realizing that it only does what the court says. It does not do the opposite like some people misinterpreted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Yep. Representative Clardy.
Thank you, Mr. Busey, and Mr. Johnson. Thank you for your testimony, for staying out with us tonight. But to echo what Representative Swanson said, and having some personal knowledge of Senator Betancourt, I would expect that he has, and I have no personal knowledge of this, but I would expect that he has spent some time being fully aware of the 2019 litigation, which has been referenced, talking with election lawyers, looking at that case, and then trying to make the language of this statute conform with that decision. Is that the way you read the bill?
Yes. You got to remember, he was honorable tax collector, assessor, voter, registrar before he was Senator Betancourt.
So this isn't some passing fancy to Senator Betancourt?
No, he knows voter registration very well.
And again, like you said, it's a lenient bill, doesn't try to provide for any penalties. In fact, it's like some of the bills we've taken up where we're looking at how do we notify voters who may have made a mistake and try to cure that, give them an opportunity through an email notification to make that right for the registration. But this seems to me to be a similar intended legislation, because I think what we're trying to do here is make sure that people who are eligible to vote have that opportunity and that we have good, accurate voter rolls. Don't you think that's a laudable goal that we should pursue?
Yes, I think so. In fact, when Senator Betancourt became tax collector assessor, did similar matches like this, and the voters were always very happy to know that there was some problem or mistake with it so they could get it corrected. They were actually very happy to learn that so that they wouldn't have problems later on, finding out that a mistake had been made. So you get it corrected up front.
Right. And I appreciate the example of the driver's license has been obtained. I think most folks don't look for every year to go get a new photo taken. We kind of like the old photos. Preserves us in history a little better. And
the law actually says when you become a citizen, you're supposed to go get a new driver's license. But I would imagine most people don't want to just wait in line for the hour to go get the license, and they wait till it expires and get it done.
Right. And again, it has nothing to do with the person's ability to be eligible to cast a vote in this country. If they're eligible, we want them to vote. I think that's where we all agree on this dais. So thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
The chair calls Renee Perez. Sir, if you'll tell us your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. I'm Renee Perez. I'm representing the Libertarian Party of Texas, and we are against this bill because it is unnecessarily authoritarian and just unnecessary. I would like to share testimony from a prior employee of the Secretary of State, Betsy Schonoff. She was part of that program in 2019 that had to be settled. Like Ingram, in her words, paraphrasing, she defended the program, but she also saying local officials at the county level were provided a number of training opportunities in advance of the rollout, and that it is local election officials, not the state, who have the authority to investigate suspect voters and remove them from the rolls. So there is already a process in place to do what this claims to do, but at a state level, which can potentially generate problems of its own when you add another layer of bureaucracy. I hope the committee members take this into consideration and trust in and rely on the sovereignty of the 254 counties of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, any questions? Yes, Representative Beckley.
Thank you for being here. So this has nothing to do with it, but how do you get that perfect curl in your hair? Because your hair is perfect. Every single time you come up here, I'm like, he's got the perfect little wave. And I'm like, my hair, half the time, I've got a big mat in the back of it.
He needs some blue, though.
It doesn't. You should do that little thing, blue. I mean, I get along really well with libertarians in my district, amazingly, but thank you very much for your testimony.
Members, any other questions? Ms. Perez, just to confirm, you're with the Libertarian Party of Texas and yourself, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, the chair calls Stephen Lance. Stephen Lance. All right, we will show Stephen Lance not testifying and against the bill. Next up, the chair calls Jason Taper. Stephen's not here. Jason Taper. And we will show Jason Taper not testifying and against the bill. We also did that with Stephen Lance already. Stephen. He's not here. All right, members, we have a resource witness from Secretary of State. Anybody want to hear from Secretary of State's office? I'm not going to do it. Anybody else? All right. So that's a pass. All right. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 1114? All If not, the chair recognizes, hearing none, the chair recognizes Representative Swanson to close on the bill.
Thank you. Again, the bill and the settlement agreement does not allow SOS to check existing driver's licenses against new registrations. That was the problem that was caused in the past. Only the reverse is allowed. This is because there were many people who had checked the non-citizen box on a driver's license application and never updated it after becoming citizens, so we don't want to catch those people. Instead, this bill gives the SOS statutory support to compare existing voter registrations with new motor vehicle and DPS records, such as driver's license applications, which ask whether a person is a citizen. Ask for your favorable consideration, and I think the bill is clear, and just ask people who misinterpreted to go back and read, and please, hopefully they will see that we have really looked out for this and we have agreed with the lawsuit in the past. And with that, I close.
Members, any questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Representative Swanson. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Is there objection? The chair hears none and the bill is left pending. And I will pass the gavel back to Chairman King.
All right, members, we're going to stand at ease for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, while Representative Clardy maybe tells a story or two.
He's not really song and dance.
I guess not.
Senate Bill 1114 by Senator Betancourt. It's the companion. No, there's not. Is there a companion?
No.
The chair lays out Senate Bill 1114 by Senator Betancourt. Members, Senate Bill 1114 is a bill we heard recently relating to the verification of citizenship status of certain registered voters. Representative Swanson moves that Senate Bill 1114, without amendment, be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
No.
Beckley.
Nay.
Busey.
Nay.
Clardy.
Aye.
Fierro.
No.
Jeton.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 5 ayes and 4 nays, the motion prevails. Okay. Members are going to now move on to committee substitute for House Bill 4498 by Representative Kane. The chair lays out as pending business House Bill 4498. Members, of the bill we heard previously relating to compliance with the National Voter Registration Act. Chair offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none, and the substitute is adopted. Chair moves that House Bill 4498, as substituted, be reported favorably to the full House with a recommendation that do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Nay.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey. Clardy.
Aye.
Fierro.
No.
Jeton.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 6 ayes, 3 nays, the motion prevails. Members are now going to move on to House Bill 4555 with the committee substitute. We've been requested to send this to local consent. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 4555. Members, this is the bill we heard previously related to a person running for office that's been convicted of a felony. Representative Busey offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Representative Beckley moves that House Bill 4555 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that do pass and be printed and be sent to the Committee on Local and Consent Calendars. Clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey.
Aye.
Clardy. Fierro.
Aye.
Jeton.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 9 ayes, 0 nays, the motion prevails. Now we're going to move on to voting on Senate Bill 1018 by Senator Zaffarini. The committee substitute. Members, that's companion to House Bill 1464 by Representative Hinojosa. The chair lays out as pending business Senate Bill 1018 by Zaffarini, companion to House Bill 1464 by Representative Hinojosa. Members, Senate Bill 1018 is the bill we heard last week relating to an early voting ballot voted by mail. Representative Beckley offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Representative Fierro moves that Senate Bill 1018, as substituted, be reported favorably to the full House with a recommendation that do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey.
Aye.
Clardy.
Aye.
Fierro.
Aye.
Jeton.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. We're now going to move on to a vote on Senate Bill 2093 by Senator Hughes. The chair lays out Senate Bill 2093 by Senator Hughes. This is companion to House Bill 1812 by Representative Swanson. Members, House Bill 1812 was reported favorably as substituted from this committee on April 21st. Senate Bill 2093 is a bill relating to filing fees for certain candidates for office in primary elections. Representative Swanson moves that Senate Bill 2093 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House with a recommendation that do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Nay.
Beckley.
Nay.
Busey.
No.
Clardy.
Aye.
Fierro.
No.
Jeton.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 5 ayes and 4 nays, the motion prevails. We're going to move on to House Bill 46. This is by somebody named Representative Art Fierro, the committee substitute, I think. Yes. All right. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 46 by Fierro. Members of the bill we heard previously relating to the use of email on a vote by mail application. Representative Fierro offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The substitute is adopted.
Chair, can you remind us what the committee sub does?
Representative Fierro, can you tell us what the committee substitute does?
So I'm glad you asked, Representative. Thank you. Oh, so what the committee sub does, Representative, is you cannot respond with any corrections. You can only get notification that there's an issue with your voter registration, and then you have to either fill it out, take it back, or mail it back.
You're responding,
Yes.
not by email.
And in the original bill, you're able to respond via email. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.
Okay. It's my understanding that Representative Fierro would like this to go to local consent. Okay. All right, members of the bill we previously heard relating to the use of email on a vote-by-mail application. Representative Fierro offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to that substitute? The chair hears none. The substitute is adopted. Representative Fierro moves that House Bill 46 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed and be sent to the Committee on Local and Consent. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey. Clardy. Fierro. Jatan.
Aye.
Schofield.
Wait, this is a Fierro bill? Aye.
Swanson.
I don't know. Aye.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails.
Hey, Schofield.
I think I have 696. I don't know where you're at.
What's that?
Were you at 696? I'm not voting now. But he's got the votes right.
I have that down. I don't know. I don't know which one that is.
All right, members, we're going to move now on to House Bill 696. Yes, Representative Clardy.
Before we move to the vote, I just want to recognize the First Lady of Elections in the back room, Ms. Burgundy Kane. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Sorry for ignoring your phone calls today. Just sitting here. All right, House Bill 696. The chair lays out as pending business House Bill 696. Members of the bill we previously heard relating to voter registration applications. The chair moves that House Bill 696, without amendment, be reported favorably to the full House with recommendation that it do pass and be printed.
Chair.
The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Nay.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey. Clardy. Fierro. Jatan.
Aye.
Schofield.
I'm going to be offering an amendment, so I'll say aye.
Swanson.
Nay.
There being 7 ayes and 2 nays, the motion prevails.
This is their script, though.
Never said that.
Oh, you didn't say it. Oh, okay.
All right, members, we're going to move on to House Bill 2093. This is by Representative Penny Morales Shaw. Should be seeking to send this to local and consent. This is the bill dealing with, I believe, with the TWIC card. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a no.
Okay. I will tell you, this is stuff that came out after 9/11. It's an extremely secure thing.
You say House
This is House Bill 2993 by Representative Shaw. Yeah, we see a lot of these where I live down in the Houston Port region. I don't have one, so I'm not allowed on the plants usually, but all right. We're going to have to go to the full house with this. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 2993 by Representative Morales Shaw. Members of the bill we heard previously relating to documentation and proof of identification for voting. Representative Busey moves that House Bill 2993 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House. The recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey.
Aye.
Clardy.
Aye.
Viero.
Aye.
Jatan.
Aye.
Schofield.
Let me pass for a second.
Swanson.
Nay.
All right. There being 7 ayes and 1 nay, the motion prevails. Okay. Members, now we're going to move on to Senate Bill 598 by Senator Colcourse. Chair lays out Senate Bill 598 by Senator Colcourse. Members of Senate Bill 598, let me look it up real quick. Senate Bill 598, Senate Bill 598 relating to auditable voting systems. Is there a committee substitute on this bill? None? Okay. So the bill is unamended. Representative Swanson moves that Senate Bill 598 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House. The recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez.
Aye.
Beckley.
Aye.
Busey.
Aye.
Clardy.
Aye.
Viero.
Aye.
Jatan.
Aye.
Schofield.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails.
Just screw up.
Members, we're now going to do House Bill 661 by Representative Beckley. And it's her intent, she's requested this go to the Committee on Local Consent.
Boss. Not a big countywide guy.
All right. The chair lays out as pending business House Bill 661. Members of the bill we heard previously relating to voting system equipment used by counties participating in the countywide polling place program. Just a moment. One moment, we're going to send it these just for a moment. We'll come back. There's just for your information, this will be the 661 will be the last bill that we're voting on today, unless there's anything else.
What about 160? Did we vote that?
We did that this morning.
Oh,
160, yeah.
Great. Thank you, members. All right, we're going to move on to House Bill 661 by Representative Beckley. The chair lays out, as pending business, House Bill 661. Members, this is a bill we previously heard relating to voting system equipment used by counties to participate in the countywide polling place program. Is there a committee substitute on this? Okay. Members, Representative Busey offers up a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? None. Representative Beckley moves that House Bill 4555, no. Representative Beckley moves that House Bill 661, as substituted, be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Kane.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gonzalez. Beckley. Busey. Clardy. Fierro. Jatan. Schofield. Swanson.
There being 7 ayes and 2 nays, the motion prevails. All right, members, thank you for your patience, and those in the audience, the same. It's the days are getting longer for us here in the House. Members, that concludes today's agenda. Is there any further business for the committee to address? If not, the chair moves to adjourn. Is there objection? Hearing none, the House Committee on Elections stands adjourned, subject to the call of the chair.